Blog Talk Radio.
There's a mystery lurking the forested areas of the world. Many have seen something, but what is it? Are they seeing known animals? They claim they walk upright, like a human. There are so many eyewitnesses. Can they all be wrong? Is someone just playing a trick on people? Or is it possible a large bipedal being could exist in the forests of the world? You have a decision to make. Do you believe it exists? These are the topics we discuss on Sasquatch Watch Radio. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is December 3rd, 2013, and we've got a very interesting show tonight. Before we get into our topic Tuesday, I want to get our co-host on here, the Creature Seeker.
Hey, Billy, what's going on?
Everything's good here. We're getting back to spring-like weather. By Thursday, we're supposed to be in the mid-60s.
Nice.
That's what I said.
I'm kind of, weather like that, I'm kind of regretting having to put the bikes away.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You never know. I might have to pull it out for some odd reason.
Hey, did you get a load of that video of that big brawl at Walmart over Black Friday?
Yeah, that was that one, and here in this area over in Annapolis, Maryland, yeah. There was a big brawl at the Victoria's Secret.
Good night of living. What is it? I mean, what could be possibly important enough to brawl over at like Victoria's Secret? I
have no clue.
or even at Walmart, Billy. The woman that they arrested, she was fighting over like a 23-inch TV.
Wow.
If you're gonna go to jail, Billy. Wow, did something good for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Unreal, I tell you.
That's nuts.
Every year it gets worse, it seems.
I know.
You know what? I like avoiding the brawl and actually just to participate with Cyber Monday. That's the way to go.
That is the way to go. I do pretty much all my shopping online anyway.
Yeah.
Except for Walmart's great if you want to get someone a gift card.
Yeah.
Because there's always something at Walmart you could use.
Right. Exactly. And there's usually a Walmart somewhere close to where people live. So.
Yeah. And since Dave Rupert buys all his clothes at Walmart, that he would definitely use that gift card.
Yeah. He uses their compasses too. But anyway, we've got a few announcements we want to make tonight before we get into our topic. First of all, I want to make everyone aware of a couple of events that are coming up next year. First of all, we've announced, and we'll keep announcing until that time, is Creature Weekend for 2014 will be May 16th through the 18th. So everyone keep that in mind, because this event this year is going to be great. So keep those dates in mind, May 16th through the 18th, 2014, for the Creature Weekend event.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun last year, Billy. So this year is going to be I think, just as much fun, if not more fun. And
I think so.
I still laugh about some of the things that happened over that conference weekend. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And this one just announced, Cabela's is bringing back their Strange, Rare, and Unusual Sightings weekend. This is the Cabela's in Triadelphia, West Virginia. Some people know it as Wheeling, West Virginia. And this coming year, 2014, it will be held in March. It will be March 14th, 15th, and 16th. They have not yet announced the speakers, but they've announced the dates. So Cabela's Strange, Rare, and Unusual Sighting Weekend, Triadelphia, West Virginia, March 14th through the 16th, 2014.
Who do you think the speakers will be, Billy? Is it worth it to even guess at this point, or? It's
more than likely. Well, I know that I'm going to be there. I was already asked to come. So
you were asked back?
Yes.
Cool.
So I'm pretty certain that I'll be there. I'm just not certain until they announce the rest of the speakers as to who all's coming back. But my understanding is there will be some folks coming back. So they'll announce it pretty soon, I would say. They usually announce these things about 4 months or so in advance. So
there were some great vendor tables there last year. So
yeah.
I hope all those people come back, because it was a lot of fun.
I know. And then the third thing we want to talk about tonight is we want to remind everybody that Sasquatch Watch Radio now has an official website. It's pretty easy to find. It's SasquatchWatchRadio.com. And one of the other reasons we want to mention it, folks, is because we really, really want feedback. We want feedback about what you think is good about the show, what's bad about the show. You know, don't be afraid to give us the comments, because your comments help us to know what we're doing right or what we may be doing wrong. So far, we have had some responses on a poll question. So if you go to that website on the very front page and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see a poll question. And that poll question that we got up currently is, do you think that the joking around and humor hurts our show? So far, we've got pretty much a mixed answer. We have, so far, it's been 12 voters. We've got 7 votes for no. People don't think that the joking around hurts the show, and we've got 5 votes for yes. So, it's kind of a mixed bag. I don't know. What do you think about that, Bruce?
It's hard to say, Billy. I think it's fair to say. Well, let me just explain, and I'm sure that you can back me up on this. When you first asked me to be on the show, Billy, we had a small discussion about, what we wanted the show, what we didn't want the show to be, and we pretty much agreed that we wanted the show to be engaging, and we wanted it to be fun. So the kind of when we go out, because you and I have been out on umpteen million different expeditions, we go out, we always have a lot of fun on those expeditions. And, the majority of the time, there's not really any activity to speak of, but you always remember those expeditions because it was just a really fun event to reconnect with researchers and talk about, Bigfooting, and, that's what makes it memorable are the people and the good times that you have. So we wanted to bring that to the radio. So
right.
if you listen to the show, how many shows have we done so far? Quite a few, right?
Yeah, it's been quite a few.
If you listen to the show, you kind of get the feeling that that we do like to have a few laughs, and B, that, we have a sort of, a familiarity with the other researchers in the field. That's because, we've been doing it, a long time, and that is, going to conferences, going on these expeditions, we connect with other Bigfoot research teams, and that's one of the great things about it, is just sort of, I think the field sometimes gets a bad rep. It's one of those things where, I've heard people say about Bigfooting in general that, it's just a bunch of people infighting and things like that. And you know what? Yeah, there is some of that.
Yeah.
But I can't say that doesn't exist in other fields. I can't say that doesn't exist with, people who do ghost research or people who do UFO research. I think pretty much in any organization you're going to get that. But one of the things I enjoy, Billy, that you and I do is that, we're not afraid to, meet up with other researchers and go on expeditions. And we may not agree on different things, but we always have a good time. So we wanted to bring that to the radio show. So that's why we do joke around a lot on the radio show,
Right.
Would you agree, Billy?
Yeah, I do. I do agree. And the funny thing is as hard as this might be for some people to believe, the way we act here on the show is really not much different than the way we act with others in person. So, because that's what we like to do. We like to have a good time. That's just the way it is. And just so everyone knows, there have been, we have received different comments. For example, we just recently, I'm not going to read the whole thing, and I'm not going to give names, but we just recently got a message from someone off the website that said that the joking around makes your show. Please don't change it. But I got another message last week from someone who said that they think we take the joking around too far, and that and they actually said that I'm annoying. So I thought they would say Bruce was annoying, but they said I was annoying.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you sure you're reading that correctly, Billy?
Yes. So, we just want to know what everybody really thinks. Don't be afraid to put it down. We're not going to mention your name if you don't want us to mention your name. But it kind of helps us to know, kind of put some feelers out there so that we know, if we're doing the right thing or we're doing the wrong thing. So.
Yeah, so if it comes across that, when we have these guests on our show, if it comes across that they're our buddies, it's most likely because they are.
Right.
We go on, even, we got out to the West Coast, Billy, you and I, several years back, I think in 2009, and we met some really nice folks out there. And so you develop these relationships. And when you've been doing it as long as we have, you just get to know a lot of people in the field. So when we have them on the show, they come on their show probably because they know us. And if we joke around with them, it seems like we're very familiar with them. It is because we are,
Yeah, exactly. Now, I will say, Bruce, that next week we're going to have a guest on next Tuesday that a lot of people have probably never heard of. And it's actually the first time I've ever heard of the person, and they do Bigfoot research. So I'm kind of excited to have them on next week.
Cool.
'Cause I love talking to new faces, and if all goes well, I have a couple coming on the following Tuesday that I believe are husband and wife researchers. So that's going to be great. So we do have some new faces, so to speak, coming on the show here in the next couple weeks. So that should be exciting. So, we don't always have, I guess, our quote-unquote buddies coming on the show. So we'll mix it up a little bit, and maybe that'll make everybody happy. But, Digger Dog's right. You can't make everybody happy. So anyway.
That's true.
We understand that. So if you don't have anything else, Bruce, I guess we'll get right straight to our topic.
Well, I think this is kind of a good segue, Billy, about well, the topic, for tonight, and that is, a lot of times when you're doing research, you're going to come across people who don't agree with your point of view. And in an area of research where there's very little evidence, like, sure, we have a movie, got tons of pictures, we have fact casts, we have some vocalizations, but we don't have a type specimen. There's a lot of there's a lot of room for, conjecture and
right.
supposition, things that we just don't know for sure. So
right.
it's not, I think it's not unexpected that you'd run into people who are going to disagree on things, but I think sometimes it goes a little bit too far. And I think that you can disagree with people, but then it becomes like a bullying or harassment.
Right. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight, because you and I both have not only experienced this firsthand, but we've also had others come to us and tell us about their experiences with that. So basically our show tonight is about bullying and harassment. And the question is, have you ever encountered any of this type of behavior in Bigfoot research? We know that when we get on the internet, we get on the blogs, and we get on the Facebook groups, those things are full of that kind of behavior. I mean, and if you haven't seen it, you're under a rock somewhere, because I'm telling you, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that we'll get a lot of you calling in tonight. Give us your input. Tell us what's happened to you. And tell us, not only tell us what's happened, but tell us how you've handled it. Do you ignore it? Do you, do you say something back? Maybe give other suggestions on what the best way is to avoid it, or how you fix the issue if there is a fix. So that's kind of what the show's about tonight. So we're hoping that we'll get some folks calling in and giving us their input on that. So the show call-in number is 347-237-5070. I'll repeat it one more time in case you're trying to write it down, and I'll put it in the chat also. 347-237-5070. So please feel free to call in, give us your input, give us your, tell us what's happened to you guys. Bruce,
and if you want to, when you call in, if you want to just weigh in briefly on the poll and just say if you like the format of the show, or you want us to be more serious, feel free just to tell us what's on your mind on that topic as well. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but it'd be interesting to hear some people calling in, and we'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Right, exactly. So, Bruce, do you have any stories personally, or anyone? Yeah, I know you laugh. Or do you want to share? Or do you want to share anything that you've heard?
Well, here's the thing, Billy. Part of the problem is, I was fortunate enough to go to a conference a couple of weekends back, and you get to talk to a lot of people. The one thing that sort of strikes me as odd is that people are willing to weigh in on a topic that they know very little about. I'll give you for instance. So we were talking about the Melba Ketchum study. People said, well, she had to publish her own work, and she couldn't get anyone to peer review it, and there's some talk about having human DNA in there, so obviously it was the samples were tainted. Well, Billy, you and I both know that when David Paulides spoke at Creature Weekend last year, he addressed that topic about whether the samples were tainted or not, and they had those samples tested by 3 independent labs. And if you receive a score of under 85 on those tests, then it is consistent with the samples being tainted. But none of the labs came back with a score under 85.
Right.
I believe the lowest score was like 87 or 88. This is all in the study. So what it is there seems to be, I know, like if you read on the internet, a lot of people just sort of ragging on Melba Ketchum's study, and it's not apparent to me that a lot of people have actually read it or actually done any research on it.
Right.
Has that been your observation as well, Billy?
Well, yeah, they claim that they have, but again, it's some of the things that I've seen in some of the Facebook groups and stuff that makes you believe that they haven't really read anything. But I think what happens is once one person starts something, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that rumor thing. Once one person says something, and each person it gets changed just a little bit. And then before you know it, like nothing's correct.
Yeah.
It's kind of like something like that. Now, I'm not stepping out on a limb and saying that Melba Ketchum's study is 100% accurate, because number one, I don't claim to know anything about what they do. I would be the last person you want looking at any kind of analysis work like that, because it's probably like a foreign language to me. But unfortunately, we have to somewhat rely on the people who apparently have that knowledge to give us, and of course that's where the peer review process comes in. People check it all out. So, we'll see. Time will tell as to what the issues are there. Bruce, we already have a caller.
It's not from Pennsylvania, is it?
You know what? I'm not sure, because my memory's bad on these numbers. So, if it is, that'll be one of the complaints we've gotten. So,
and by the way, Billy, I am not. Let me just say for the record, I am not saying either that Melba Ketchum study is the definitive study on that. My point in bringing that up was that people are willing to weigh in on things that they just don't have a lot of information on, but are willing to. I don't know where they get the information from, but a lot of times their information's factually incorrect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, we got a caller from the 814 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, it's your major complaint.
There it is. See? He already knew.
It's me too. It's the wife. It's the wife and husband team.
It's the wife and husband team.
I feel honored that I got drug into this whole complaint thing.
You just stuck yourself there, Dave. They didn't drag you. Oh. It wasn't bullying.
Hey, listen, yeah, I just wanted to say about the show first off, it's refreshing the way it's set up, the way you guys run it, as far as the joking around, and being real people. I mean, if I really want to be bored off my gourd and my ADD to kick in, and I just shut the show off, I'm going to go to a conference and listen to half the speakers that I listen to. I mean, that's what happens. You go in there and people are trying to be so serious, so dead serious, that it's just boring as hell, and you lose interest. And that's just the way it goes. This is the only show that I was actually able to sit the whole way through and listen to it. I mean, if my thoughts mean anything at all, that's
probably just because I'm here,
Well, exactly.
You know what? My take on it is life is so serious enough, and we do take what you guys. This show is so educational, and it does teach a lot about what researchers do, and I'm one, David's one. I mean, we enjoy it. We also go out with different people, different groups. You guys, this is the way we are, take it or leave it. But, I mean, if we didn't have fun with it, half the time we'd be out there, we'd be going in and then from out of the woods because we'd be so bored, it's nice to, not always. We do get some good stuff, but it's just, it's good people, it's fun, and even in the workplace, I mean, I don't know. I think depending on the person that you are. You know, it's if when you're, you know, you have a free will and you enjoy life and you want to get all that you can out of it, it's okay to have fun with it sometimes. Right. And, you know, you do have your serious time too. But we do appreciate the show and we enjoy listening to it every week. So that's our opinion.
Thank you both. Appreciate that.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't mind me saying about as far as even like the bullying goes, and the well, I just learned what blogs were not too long ago. To be honest with you, I don't even pay attention to them. But I'm the same way with bullying as far as that goes. What people think about me, I can only imagine what people think about me. I mean, I say what I want, I do what I want, and that's how I live my life. That's how I do it. I mean, everything that if I'm happy. That's all that matters to me. You know, me and my family, and what I say what I want and do what I want, and that's it. I don't care what other people think about me, or what they even write about me. To be honest with you, and I can only imagine what they've done. You know, as far as some of my blog shop speeches and stuff like that.
Well, Dave, let me ask you a question. I know for a fact that you are fairly open about the fact that you do. You know, Bigfoot research. Do you ever have family members who kind of look at you like, yeah, you're a little bit off your rocker, Dave, or they kind of kind of avoid the subject or try to change the subject?
Oh, definitely. You know, I get that a lot. As a matter of fact, I get it on my jobs. I'm so open about it that you know, Bigfoot alone, I give partial credit to getting my job. I talked about it at my interview, believe it or not. I'm so open about it that I lay myself out there no matter what. I don't have nothing to hide. Have nothing in the closet. I'm honest about everything. I really don't. I don't give a crap what anybody says or even thinks.
Yeah. Let me just stop. So for those folks who are listening right now, you know, Dave is a special case. I would not recommend talking about Bigfoot at your job interview. I would probably avoid that topic of conversation. It's, you know, Dave is able to pull it off because, you know, if you ever saw what it looked like, you'd understand what I'm saying. But I would not. Yeah, if you're talking to the HR person, I wouldn't mention Bigfoot really.
You know what?
Here's the thing. This is the way I look at some people that are so serious about this that they don't even crack a smile. I think somewhere along the line, and I hate to put any labels on anybody, I usually try to avoid this at all costs, but somewhere along the line, and it probably all stemmed from high school, they were being teased really bad and they were not popular at all. And they see the Bigfoot community and think, oh, now I can be popular. You know, and they go in there and they throw out crap, and half the time that's what I think some of these people, not a lot, but some people are just throwing out crap just to make them sound like they know what they're talking about, because it's the only place they can, you know. And that's just the way I.
You know what, Dave? Like even our children have been researching with us since they were, 6 and 7.
Yeah, something like that.
And now they're 13 and 15, and you know they've always been open-minded about it. They like the joking around, but they also. You know, they know the criticism there is, but they'll go to school and talk about it, and it's made them open-minded and level-headed enough that if someone does tease them about it, they're like, hey, it's up to you what you think, and it's all good, you know. But I guess when you're looking for things that you don't know if they're real, and they're, you know, myths and legends and things like that, like we all do, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you guys go squatching in Clearfield County, Pennsylvania, so you must be really open-minded. I mean,
yeah.
you might as well wait for the great pumpkin to come, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, Billy.
Yeah.
If Clearfield County had a store that sold plush Bigfoots, then we'd have sightings all over the place. I know Bruce would just be like, oh, wow, there's Bigfoot up there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Dave, say what you want about Salt Fork State Park, but they have a history of sightings there, okay? It's not because they sell plush toys.
Hey.
You know what, and too, like, the whole bullying thing, also, I have one more thing to say, and then I'll say goodbye, but I think that it helps, like, confidence, and even if people, Dave, I know you said about being teased, I don't know how that has to do with this, really. I'm sorry. But, like, I don't know, like, as far as your confidence, it helps with that, but it also helped my kids to become who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, and being able to know that it's okay to like have differences, and it's okay to know that that you believe in something that other people may not, and it's all right to talk about it, and we don't all have to agree with it.
If you want to be tormented through your teen years, then
they haven't though, and and if they have, like, they just let it go. It's taught them to be strong, and they learned about your good hats. That's why they wear the fedoras, because they met Bruce when they were like little. And they got their music from Ron Gallucci, the love of their music, and the videoing from Ryan Cavallini, and I mean they've gotten little pieces of everything from here and there, and I just think it's a great thing, and if families can go out and do it, by all means, I promote it 100%. Yeah. But make sure you wait for the night outs, because they're a little hard. They're kind of scary, until they get older.
It's good that your kids are able to pick up like these bad habits from the random strangers that they meet in Bigfooting.
Well, notice that she didn't.
We camp with you people and stuff. Come on.
Notice she didn't tell you what bad habits they picked up from Billy. We're just saying we're going to speak about it.
They know what kind of expensive expensive gadgets and fun things to buy are that their mother can't get for them for a while.
Show them how to go broke.
That's right. But anyways, thanks for having me on.
Okay, Carrie, before you go, how was your Thanksgiving? I heard they kept you out of the kitchen.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it went well. I tried making my own Thanksgiving last year. I couldn't make it, with my family, so my mom calls me and she's like, "Well, how did your turkey turn out?" And I said, "Well, it was good till it started running off the table."
Well, in the little town where you guys live, you guys always have the tree lighting ceremony the Friday after Thanksgiving, and I think the mayor actually expressed his appreciation to Dave's family for keeping you from cooking this Thanksgiving.
Did I really? I was sick with food poisoning. I missed that tree lighting.
That's the sad part, Bruce. We might have had a good Thanksgiving, but we did not make it through the weekend without food poisoning.
No.
That's horrible.
I think it was the flu. My son and I had the flu. That's what it was. But I hope that's what it was. It felt bad though. It was rough, but the tree ceremony is nice. We have a Christmas parade. It's cool, and then there's Santa Claus down at the fire hall, and but this year we were sick.
And then there's Al-Qaeda operatives who are trying to get a sample of your cooking to weaponize it.
That's right.
Weapons of mass destruction.
That's right. You got to come up for Thanksgiving some year.
Yeah. Maybe when I beef up my health insurance a little bit.
You bet. You do that.
Now, Billy,
Bruce is just going to choose to pay the fine.
Did you guys have a nice Thanksgiving?
We did.
Good.
Yep, I did too.
Good. Good.
Well, the Thanksgiving part was good. What I had to do after that wasn't fun.
Uh-oh.
Did your wife make you put up Christmas lights too?
No, I should have called you, Rupert, because I know you're a welder and everything, but I could have transformed you into a concrete guy.
Oh, I would have gladly helped. Or at least sent Carrie down.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to get Rupert anyway, because he was actually in that video at Walmart where he was brawling over a pair of camouflage bath towels.
I got you.
You know what? He doesn't go Black Friday shopping with me anymore because he almost had a heart attack at the register 2 years ago, and I'm not joking. It was so bad. He was telling the cashier, "Stop. Don't let another one go through. Wait. And she's like, and then his mother's in the aisle next to us. She's throwing money at him. Here, it's okay, honey. You're okay? If you're okay? Like trying to, I'm like, stop it. I have this.
I feel like I'm being bullied right now.
Okay, I'm going. I'm sorry. I'll let you talk. I love you. You know that. See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks for calling in, Carrie.
But Billy, you've taken slack over things.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, and don't get me wrong. I think when we all first come into this, I think we all fall victim. Well, not victim. Victim's the wrong word. I think we all fall into the same characteristic as some of the behavior that we see. Because when you first come into this, you see everybody battling, and then sometimes you get mixed up in the battle. You know, and it usually takes takes a little bit of time before you realize, you know what? Why am I bickering over this? This is crazy.
You know? I mean, it would be one thing, you know, Billy, if we were getting paid for it.
Right.
You know, to worry about this. I mean, if somebody don't like, let's just say, take your show, for instance. If somebody don't like your show, are they going to fire you? Can they get you fired? I don't think so. Do you get paid for that? What are you out? Nothing.
Right, exactly. Actually, I'd be saving money if I quit the show.
I mean, it's just it's so ridiculous, and I've been in a lot of like different not communities, but different types of groups, like we'll just say Boy Scouts of America. I've been in Bigfooting and just all kind of different things like that. And every group, no matter a group of or society that you're in or whatever it is, no matter how good it is going to have its drama. And it's one thing that I've always tried to avoid is just the whole drama thing. It's just kind of it's stupid. Life's way too short for it.
Yep, that's right. I agree. All right. Well, I'm going to get to this other caller, Dave.
Okay. Hey, thanks for letting me call in, and you have a good night.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for calling in.
Yep. Bye.
Okay. Now I actually have two of the same area codes. Did they drop off? Hold on. Okay, we have two of the same area codes, so I'm going to actually mention so that they know who I'm calling in here. 540582. You're on the air.
Hey, Billy, it's Allison.
Hey, Allison.
How are you?
Allison.
Hey, Bruce. I was just calling. She was mentioning the teens, and you know, Bruce, I think you were right that they will be tormented to hell and back. I think both of you know there were three of us when we had our sighting. At the time, one was 12 years old, and you know, we really could give a damn what people think about us, but because of her, we chose not to go real public with that because kids can be so ugly. You know, the few kids that she did share it with, they teased, they taunted, and I think that, you know, she's 16 now, and to go to high school and say, hey, I saw Bigfoot, she would probably go from being one of the most popular kids in school to ostracized every day of her life. So I think sometimes you just have to, you know, were it not for her, you know, we would go completely public. But because of her, we don't. And I know three men who have had sightings in the same area. All three are hunters. One no longer hunts. He won't go back in the woods. There are two others. They've all sworn me to secrecy. They will not talk about it simply because they know that if they do, they're going to be labeled as crazy or, you know, all the different labels that they give you.
Right.
So I think, you know, a lot of people just, I think there are probably more sightings than what we know about. People just won't come forward with them.
No, I agree with that 100% because what a lot of people don't realize is, you know, some people have, for example, well, you know what, I can't really say that. I'm pretty open to being a Bigfoot researcher, and people can link right on my Facebook page to my profession, you know, the business that I run, and they can see all that. I mean, so it's not like I'm hiding anything, and I really haven't taken no flack for it. So I think it really depends too on the area, you know, and the kind of people that live around you, and how people take that kind of stuff. I think, Allison, people in your area they seem to me be more keep to themselves kind of people.
I don't know if it's keep to themselves. I don't know quite. It depends on the person. I'll take my brother, for example. He doesn't believe in Bigfoot, but yet, when I discussed this with him, I said, do you think that I'm lying about what I saw? No, because I know you wouldn't lie. I just think you saw something that you thought was Bigfoot. And it's like, okay, well, then you tell me what it was. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a man in a costume. You tell me. I can only believe I know what I saw. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. I know what I saw and what two other people, I wasn't hallucinating. If it was, then there were two other people, with me that day that were hallucinating. So I think it's just a matter of, and were it not for having, the child with us, we would probably just, and there are a lot of people in our area that do know, and they're not the ones that are going to taunt and tease you because they know you and they know you wouldn't lie about something like that. It's the ones you don't know real well that, label you loony. So.
Yeah. Well, we know about loony.
Oh, yeah. Of course, if they know what I told that man, they think I was loony too. So. Hey, it worked.
It worked.
So, Allison.
Yeah.
You've been sort of a core, one of our core listeners since the very beginning. What's your feeling about the format of the show? Is it, are we joking around too much? Should we be a little bit more serious?
No, I think it depends on what you're joking on. You know me. I'm going to tell you like it is. If you're, come on. I've got the warped sense of humor. So to me, I like joking. I like to laugh. I just think sometimes we maybe get off subject and spend too much time. Well, it's when I laughed tonight when Dave, I can't name her, when they called in. It's like, oh, God, here we go on the bad food again. we all know the story. Let's skip this tonight and talk about Bigfoot. So that, I like to joke, but sometimes I think you can kind of run it in the ground, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
well, you know about that, Allison, because you fell into that hole in the ground a couple years back.
Bruce, I had to give up my flip-flops. It's been gotten too cold. So right now, I'm out of the flip-flops until it gets to at least above 50, and then I may be back to falling in holes.
Well, for the people who don't know, several years back, Allison had a fairly sizable hole in her property, which she felt she had to step into and break her leg. So.
It's just because you were driving me crazy. I was going crazy trying to keep you off posted property.
Yeah, they like to do that.
But anyway, like I say, I did just want to mention that because I do, I think you've got to be real careful where kids are concerned because they can, I think, Bruce, you were right. They will torment them to hell and back. And I just, we didn't want that for her. And, I think the older they get, the more cool kids can get against each other. And like I say, I think that she probably, I don't know that I'd say bullying, but she probably would have taken a lot of taunting, teasing, and, so with kids, I think you do have to, adult, they can kind of take it for themselves. Kids, especially teens, are at that age where they're so emotional anyway, especially females. We don't want
Allison, forget the kids. Billy and I know firsthand how cruel adults can be.
Well, yeah, like I say, I do too. But I don't care. I don't care whether they believe me or whether they don't. I know what I saw. And like I say, there's a lot of people in the area that I went up to have lunch with my granddaughter at her school the other day, a younger granddaughter. And when I walked in, one of the little boys was like, "There's a lady that saw Bigfoot." It's like, oh, God. But it's just that, I happen to know his mother. But, I don't care. I don't care what people think of me, whether they believe me, whether they don't believe me. But we just didn't want her to be ridiculed and taunted, so we kind of, kept the identity quiet as best we could. So, anyway, I think you hit on a good point there, Bruce. You and I agree.
Yep. Thank you, Allison.
We still have to go ghost hunting, Allison.
I'm waiting on you. Let me know when. I'm ready. All right, guys. Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
All right.
Thanks for calling in, Allison.
Yep. And we got another caller from the 307 area code. You're on the air.
Hey guys, it's Nate. How you doing?
Hey Nate.
Nate, how you doing?
Bruce, I thought of you tonight. I put a picture of my dinner on the internet on the Facebook, and I was thinking of that old thing they used to do in the 80s. It's 10 p.m. and do you know where your children are? And I was going to put 7:55. Do you know where your prime rib is? I just wanted to say the reason why I was so attracted to your guys' show when I started listening about, it's got to be a year ago now, is the humor. When you have a subject that's controversial and you have a subject that people are passionate about, like Sasquatch, it's going to be intense from the get-go. So the idea that you can have a show successfully on Sasquatch without humor is more problematic than too much humor on a show about Sasquatch with humor. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think people that get offended easily are going to always be offended easily. I think the heart of the matter is people are trying to work out how to eloquently hold their perspective on what they believe and still share why they believe that without being defensive, and that's going to be a trick. And if you guys just give me about 5 minutes, I just want to kind of show a side thing here. I've experienced a lot of this kind of energy and this kind of back and forth negatively in another field that, I'm passionate about. I teach martial arts privately. And in my school, my students, my black belt students, one of their requirements to get to the first degree, the Shodan, is you have to go out and you have to go meet teachers from other schools that are not the martial art that I teach. Interview them. Find out everything you can. Why do they teach? What do they love about their style? Everything. And get out of your box and find the commonalities. Because, in the martial arts world, the old guys all know each other, and they have nothing more to prove. But it's the younger people. It's the younger generation. It's the people that feel like they have to make a name for themselves. They feel they have to defend their turf. It's similar in the Bigfoot world, I notice. I'm doing DNA testing. You've got video. You have a habituation. People are kind of feeling a need to hold on to their territory, if you will. And that is just about basic maturity. It just takes years and years of sitting with whatever you're really good at. And it's kind of strange to be good at Bigfoot. I mean, what is it really? It's a mystery,
Right.
So you got to kind of let go of being right about it. And, martial arts don't become fun until you just drop everything and say, I don't know. and to hear that from a teacher when you're a younger student is very threatening and very mind-boggling. But I can remember, the first time that I was told by my teacher, okay, now go interview these old guys from these other systems. And here I've been thinking for years and years, well, we're the best, our schools, from the oldest tradition, blah, blah, blah. And to hear so much wisdom and so much commonality come out of their mouths, and to have them frankly say, well, I'm still a student. I'm still, every time I go into the dojo, seeing something for the very first time with fresh eyes, and that's why I love this, and that's why I keep coming back, was mind-boggling to me. I think what you guys got going here is a great medium. It's one of my favorite Bigfoot shows. I think you guys get serious when it's time to get serious. The show that was a couple weekends ago was really interesting about the people that were having experiences with things like a sheep squatch, the things were in the barn and the horse was torn apart, things I'd never heard of. It was a very interesting show. There was some laughter in this show, but you spend a lot of time getting into the bones of the matter, a lot of facts, and you've done that on all your shows. When it's time for science and facts and we want to pay close attention to new information, the humor doesn't get in the way of that, but when a guest cancels or or, you know, there's dead air. You got to fill it with something. It's a lot of work to do a radio show, and I think, you know, people that have hardcore suggestions for improving what you have or are too critical should do a show for a weekend. Make up their own thing. Go on Blog Talk, create something, and see what it's like. And then when you're on the driving seat, you might have a different perspective. And I tell that to my students all the time. You know, when you're a teacher, when you go out there, when you put yourself out there, it's not very safe. You know, there's some nervousness attached to it. You know, so I want to commend both of you guys for your approach, but also remind the people that would be too critical. It's not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to take a central position, hold space for something, you know, a subject like Sasquatch martial arts, and let the conversation get out there, lightly guide it this way, that way, and answer questions and keep putting that forward. I mean, you're the target. You know, a lot of people, we're going to resent people that have a skill in doing that, and some people aren't happy no matter what they do. I'd say don't change a thing. Keep doing your laughs. You got great guests. You got a good balance. You guys take turns going back and forth, you know, being laughing and being serious. So don't change a damn thing. And
thank you, Nate.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Nate.
Well, that's all I got to say, guys. Have a good night. Oh, wait.
Nate, right. Before you go, I have a question for you. I noticed that you used the term Shodan. So can I assume that your style is Japanese?
Yeah, I teach Ninpo Taijutsu.
Okay.
Which is, you know, people would call this ninjutsu, but if you're really doing it, if it's a way of life, then the idea changes. Ninjutsu is the toolbox, it's the mechanics of things, it's the basics, and they're deep basics, right? But Po is a Chinese prefix. It changes the ideology. Nin being all things behind our first assumption. Not necessarily secret or quiet or hidden. That's a gross analogy. A nin would be, well, what do you got to work at to find? What's behind the surface, right? Now, Po meaning natural laws of the universe. So the idea of Ninpo is that everything has a way it works. And you got to, first of all, get out of your own box, get out of your own way, and be open to the answer always being something working that you're not aware of, working differently than what you first expected. That way you don't have to be in a binary state between right and wrong, or black and white, or don't know, no. You can be in a very lucid state of, there's a process that's unfolding. I can be in the middle of it. I can watch its origin and its ending and be in the middle. And it's like yourself is always changing. Therefore, when you realize you're always changing, anything you study, anything with difficulty, Ninpo is extremely, it's not easy. It's a lot more malleable if you see yourself as part of the process that is changing, and then all the answers on the outside, whatever discipline you're studying, that can change as well. And Sasquatch very much like that. If I can't come in, before I saw my tracks, I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't believe in this not. And then when it happened, it was like, whoa, what have I been missing? Wow. And every week I got to turn in because there's a little bit more I learn. There's a little bit more that I learn. And most of all now, I enjoy the people, you know, like you, Bruce, like you, Billy, Digger, everybody in the room, who we had some kind of an experience, but we're not hardcore about exactly nailing down what it is. And it feels good to having shared an experience that's mind-blowing, but it doesn't have to be more than that. You just had something happen, and it's true, and now your world's a little sweeter, it's a little bigger. It's awesome to know that there are things beyond there because it gives you kind of hope, you know, in the back of your spine. There's more out there. There's wonder, you know. There might be other things you learn in life that, you know, make you grateful for not knowing everything either. So that's my thing.
Well, appreciate it.
No truer words have been spoken, Nate.
Very good.
I'll let the next person call in. Hopefully the show goes late tonight.
Yeah, it is. Looks like it's going to.
Awesome. All right, guys. Talk later.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks for calling in, Nate.
Yeah, that's great. See, that's what I'm saying, Bruce. I think that in a way, I agree with Nate. I really don't feel that we're taking it overboard one way or the other, and I think we do try to keep it balanced. And that's what I'm hoping people see, is that we keep balance on the show. So, but anyway, don't look like we have any other callers on hold, so I'll mention the phone number again, 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. We don't mind going over a little bit if we have to, just so that you can get your comments in.
Billy, just to touch on what Nate had mentioned was that, what he said was absolutely true. Sometimes you talk to someone, and when you ask them questions, they get defensive. I'll give you an example. I was talking to someone. We were having breakfast or whatever. There's a group of us, and they had a presentation on stick structures. I think I told you the story already, but
yeah.
So I was asking them, so they said, we found these stick structures, and I said, well, it's really interesting because I think a lot of researchers believe that that Bigfoot makes stick structures, but I asked them, has anyone ever seen a Bigfoot make a stick structure? So and they couldn't answer that,
Right.
And so I started asking around, does anyone know of a story where someone witnessed the Bigfoot making a stick structure? And so no one had. So
right.
And it started getting a little defensive because I was challenging it. Now, am I saying that Bigfoot doesn't make stick structures? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I start from what evidence we have, and then you move out from there, rather than start with an assumption and then try to find evidence for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But people shouldn't be put out when you ask if they have evidence. I think he was defensive because he mentioned something. He made a comment to me like, do you need a picture for everything? Like, you kind of do.
Yeah. We can't. But that's it. We can all theorize. That something's making these stick structures. Well, and again, I've got photos of strange stick structures. But I've always made sure that everyone understands that, it's all alleged evidence. And one of the main reasons that I'll put it up is because it seems that every time you get a Bigfoot sighting location, you find these things. So that's the only reason I think that, I mention it as being alleged evidence, because we don't know. Can somebody be going back in the woods and putting them up? Sure they can. So that's about all I can say about it. So
Billy, I attended a track casting session, and the person who was sort of leading that was Cliff Brackman of the Finding Bigfoot fame, and he said something which made sense to me, but I never really thought about it, and that is, sometimes you'll come upon a impression. You don't really know whether it's a track or just an impression,
Right.
And I tend, if I don't think it looks compelling, I tend to not document it.
Right.
But he said, what? He said, if you're not sure, just document it anyway. So if if it's an impression that you think might be a track impression, you lose nothing by documenting it, by casting that track or whatever.
Right.
And I thought about it, and I thought, all right, that does make some sense, because if it is a hoax, you can then now have some evidence of it. You can go back and say, all right, well, this track, which we believe to be a hoax, has similarities to this track, which we believe to be a hoax, and if you don't cast it, if you don't document it, then you don't have that evidence to go back. So it's not a lot of times. It's not just a matter of documenting the real evidence, but also documenting when things might be hoaxed.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Now, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it or not, Bruce, but I know that you had kind of mentioned to me that there's a worse part to this research. I mean, is that something that you wanted to talk about, or?
Well, you know what? I didn't want to talk about it because I haven't witnessed it myself.
Right.
So that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I can imagine that does happen. And how this all came about was I was talking to a female researcher from, and they do their researching out on the West Coast, but who kind of was really disappointed in the field. And I said, well, why? What's going on? And she felt she was being harassed because she was a woman in the field.
Yeah.
Certainly, we go out all the time. There are a lot of female members of the team, and it's not really, an issue. We don't really think about it, but, this woman's experience was different. Now, I can't speak to it because it wasn't me, but I can imagine that it happens that women who, especially like single women, they might feel like they're being harassed or bullied or not taken seriously, but I haven't experienced it because anytime I've been out with the team, I haven't seen it,
Right.
I've been out with the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society. I've been out with your group, Billy. You've had multi-group expeditions where we've had 30 people. Like, it's almost like 50-50 men and women. And I've never, they've all had a good time. I've never really seen it happen, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen,
Yeah. Well, it's, and that kind of thing can happen at anything, really. Obviously it happens in the workplace because there's things about it. You hear about it all the time in the news and stuff. So, but I've never heard any firsthand stories about that type of thing. But I'm sure it does happen, like you said.
Yeah.
So,
and just getting back to what I was talking about before, I just feel like if you're, a sincere researcher and you're really looking for answers, that you shouldn't feel put out or and you shouldn't get defensive if someone, asks you, like, did you see it? Did you actually witness it? Do you have any evidence that it occurred? Now, Billy, you and I both know. We both know people who've seen or have been eyewitnesses to a Bigfoot sighting, right?
Right.
When I listen to their eyewitness accountability, there's no doubt in my mind that these people have seen something extraordinary.
Right.
So, when people ask me, like, oh, do you believe in Bigfoot? Or I always say I'm on the fence. Now, that doesn't mean I think these people are lying, Billy. I could, I don't want to embarrass these people, but I could name them off right now. When they tell me their story, I believe they saw what they saw.
Right.
But I can only tell you that I believe them because I've known them for many years. They're people of good credibility, and when they tell me the story never changes.
Right.
So I do believe they saw something.
Right.
But when you ask me, Bruce, do you believe in Bigfoot, or do you think that I have to say that I have not, except for the what evidence is out there, the Patterson-Gimlin film, the blob squatch photographs, you've got the vocalizations, you've got the casts of track impressions, you got umpteen million eyewitness accounts. Those are all things that are compelling to me so that I think that it's not just a case of these people are misidentifying bears or their eyes are playing tricks on them or, all that evidence taken together, for me, Billy,
right,
compels me to believe that there's something more going on here than that. And that's what Otherwise, you just basically be dismissive about the evidence and say, if Bigfoot doesn't exist, so there can't be any tracks, or there can't be any there can't be a Bigfoot vocalization because Bigfoot doesn't exist. That's an example of someone who starts with a default belief system and tries to change the evidence to fit that. I am kind of the opposite. You give me the evidence, and I try to piece together, okay, what's the most reasonable explanation for this evidence? And it's not just one piece of evidence, but in totality. Take all the evidence out there and put it together, and you have to say, well, you know what? There's got to be something going on here that's they just can't say Bigfoot doesn't exist. When I say I'm on the fence, Billy, what I mean is I myself have not seen a Bigfoot creature. I've seen some evidence, but I've not seen them myself.
Right.
So I can't tell you that, I know what I saw, whatever, because I didn't see it. I'm just trying to piece together the clues as someone who, hasn't witnessed it.
Right. Yeah. And that's the reason why that most people that have had a sighting, they want to share it with others. They want to talk to others about it so that they can better understand what they saw. But again, you're not going to tell them that they didn't see what they saw. I mean,
right.
Allison is a good example. Allison don't care what you say. She knows what she saw, and she knows it wasn't a bear, it wasn't whatever. So, and that's the way most people look at it. I'm hoping that one day I'll have a sighting where I can say that, where I can say, you know what, you just say whatever you want. Run your mouth, whatever. I saw what I saw.
Well, Billy, so Allison is a good example of, the kind of people I was telling you about who, she's a very credible witness, and, I believe she did see something, Let me tell you a story of another eyewitness I interviewed. This was, I'm going to say this was about 3 years ago. I got this report. They saw this creature. It was huge. They heard it, crashing through the woods near their house, and they lived in an area that has had some sort of activity going on there. Right. So I interviewed them personally. I drove a couple hours, beat them. I met them alone, and I interviewed them personally. And everything was going good on the interview, except when I asked them to describe the creature they saw. They said, it was huge. It was brown, and it was, probably about 7 or 8 feet long. I go, no, long. Well, that doesn't really make sense. What do you mean it was long? And through the course of the interview, Billy, I pretty much came to the conclusion that they saw a moose. But they were insistent that it was Bigfoot. But right. I even drew a picture of it just because I thought, all right, there's got to be something. I'm not interpreting, their account correctly. So I drew the picture and said, oh, yeah, that's what we saw. And I drew a picture. It was like the back of an elk or a deer, And they
right,
said, oh, yeah, that's
right.
what we saw. So what you saw was probably some ungulate, some quadrupedal animal. And, the usual suspects in that area are, either a deer, although what they saw was larger, so I'm willing to bet it was probably a moose. But
yeah.
You run into eyewitness accounts like that. It's a balance, right? So
yeah.
I want to believe that this person saw something extraordinary, but what they're telling me, what they're describing to me, is inconsistent with it being a Sasquatch site.
Right.
And that's why you can't. When you're interviewing people, especially eyewitnesses, you got to be really careful. And she wasn't trying to hoax me. She wasn't trying to, fool me. She was still kind of excited about it, actually.
Right. Yeah, and again, one thing that you also have to understand, and this is hard for, Allison, sorry, we'll keep using it as an example, but take for Allison, for example. She has lived in that area, okay, and when this area is country area, She's lived in that area for a very long time. Her husband hunts. She knows her wildlife. You know, she knows what a bear looks like. She knows what a deer looks like. She knows her animals. You know, a lot of people can't believe that there's still a lot of people who couldn't even identify a bear. I mean, there really, truly are people that will see something for the first time. First of all, I've run into I don't know how many people who said they've never seen a bear in the wild at all. You know, so someone seeing a bear somewhere other than a zoo, that can be pretty astounding to them. You know, and
well, Billy,
I could see where it would be very easy to misidentify, especially if they were walking around and, you know, walking through the woods and there's one, you know, scratching its back on a tree, obviously standing up. I could see where someone who's never seen a bear in the wild could misidentify it as a Bigfoot.
Well, Billy, I've been out in the woods with Dave Rupert, and we came across this empty milk carton.
Yeah.
And he thought it was a cow's nest.
Well, see, exactly. Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying.
I'm kidding. But yeah, you're right. There's just and the thing is too, look, we welcome all sorts of people into the field. We encourage people who have an interest to pursue it, but not a lot of people have the same types of background or experiences to be able to differentiate, you know, regular forest animals from something that's extraordinary, right? So that's just where experience and, you know, training and education come in.
Did I lose you, Bruce?
No, I just said.
Okay. I heard a click and then you just went silent. But anyway, before we do close up the show, we have went over. But before we close up the show, since the show is about bullying and harassment, there was one thing that I wanted to mention. And this might upset a few people, and it may not. But I'm gonna say it. Very recently, there was a subject taken up on Facebook about the Bigfoot Bounty Show. It's coming out on Spike TV. And one of the participants in that show decided that he didn't want to answer people's questions. He was offended, or so-called offended, because people were asking him specific questions about a thermal image that's going to be featured on the show. A very well-known Bigfoot researcher, a lot of people know him. I'm not going to mention him by name because I don't have his permission to do so, but a very well-known Bigfoot researcher that a lot of us have known for a lot of years had simply had a discussion about the thermal image, and that the participant of the Bigfoot Bounty Show decided that since he wanted to go on the defensive, he decided to start talking about the person's physical appearance, about their weight, and very, ridiculing comments about this person. Now, my immediate reaction to that was, okay, you know, when someone goes on the defensive like that, and I think it was Ramble One that mentioned it earlier, when someone gets that defensive, most of the time it's because they're making something up. When you have someone that won't defend their evidence and they just want to resort to name calling and ridiculing a person, it's usually because, hey, guess what? They know it's fake. And they don't want to talk about it. I had even sent the person a message and asked the person if they had a certified FLIR thermographer look at their footage. I have yet to get an answer from that person. So probably the short answer to that is no, they have not. And without someone that's certified in FLIR looking at an image, then it's That's all it is an image. So I just wanted to mention that because that's a you see that kind of bullying a lot on Facebook, on the internet, in the blogs. You see the bullying to the point where someone goes on the defensive, they immediately go to the name calling and the ridicule, for just anything. So that was one thing I wanted to bring up tonight in the show because I've seen that stuff firsthand.
Yeah. Also, Billy, I think we can't discount the fact that there are some people who are, when you enjoy any type of success, you're always going to have detractors. So, if someone, has a sighting or is able to, come up with some extraordinary evidence, there's always going to be people who are just going to be miserable about it because it wasn't them. I see that a lot, unfortunately, and it's not just Bigfooting. It's this applies to anything. Your job, any other groups. I talk to people on UFOs and ghost hunting. They say it's just as bad.
Right.
It's unfortunate. It really is because we really should be more supportive of each other. I don't think asking pointed questions is bullying. I think that just if you have evidence that can't stand up to peer scrutiny, how do you expect that evidence to fare against scientific scrutiny?
Yeah.
I think, part of it is when you're doing this type of research, research, cryptozoology, you got to have some thick skin about it. But I think that beyond that, Billy, I think that there are people who are just going to be miserable about the fact that you're doing something or that you're enjoying some success in it, and they're just going to want to take you down,
Right.
It's not right, but I think that's just sort of the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And all I will say, Ramble One, is yes. That's all I'm going to say. But I don't know. It's a tough subject to talk about, mainly because you don't, if you're like me, I don't like to be. In other words, I don't want to point someone else out by name and actually, be accused of the same thing. You know what I'm saying? If you point someone out directly by name and then you start saying, okay, this is what this person did, blah 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 blah. That's, again, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to do that. I just hope that maybe one day, and I guess this is a big dream. I'll say it anyway. Maybe it's a dream. But maybe one day we can all learn how to work together. Be happy. Bruce, like you, for example. Why give you a hard time if you're organizing a conference, for example? Be happy for the person who's doing something and being successful at it. Plain and simple. I think jealousy plays a big role in a lot of this stuff, and people's egos, plays a big part in the bullying and the harassment. For example, let me think of another good example. Gosh, I got a ton of examples, but I don't want to use names. Well, that's going to be too hard to do because I can't use names. So, if someone has success at doing something, for example, organizing a conference, and they have a great turnout, and the people go away and they're happy, I'm happy for the person that put it on. Hey, you did a good job. Why should I be jealous of that? You know what I'm saying, Bruce?
I do, Billy. But I just want to say, for the record, that the conference was a success because of the volunteers like yourself and, Dave and, the Sheba and Terry and all the other volunteers and the attendees who came to the conference. I really had very little to do with the success of it. But you guys did a great job working hard at it, and the conference was a huge success, but it was because of your work, not mine. So,
well, it takes everybody, though. Honestly, it takes everybody working together to make it a success. No one person can do it all themselves. You have to have a cooperation with everyone doing the, trying to make the same, serve the same purpose. So it's quite that simple. But
I agree with you, Billy. It's, what, I've only, working at a conference, this will be our third year. When we, got together to talk about, the sorts of activities that we're going to be hosting at next year's conference, it was kind of exciting because, I felt that, everyone's interest was in just everyone having a good time at the conference, you know? And that really is sort of what we're trying to accomplish. Is just we want to put on an event that's informative, that people just really have a good time at and really enjoy it. And, you just want people to walk away saying, hey, you know what, that was just a great time. And I'm glad that, whatever vacation time I had, I was able to spend a part of it at that event.
Right. Right. And not only that, but you also make it to where it's fun for all ages. And, not just us adults that want to hear, a big speaker get up and tell us all the new evidence that they found on Bigfoot. But you also have to think about the younger people, and you want to make sure that there's activities that they enjoy too,
Sure.
And that's one of the things that I think they're going to see at this year's 2014 Preacher Weekend is that there's going to be activities for all the age ranges, and it's going to be really fun. So.
Billy, there's a question in the chat room. I think Digger Dog is asking, and I don't know what he's referring to, but he's asking, is that why you shut your program down a couple of years ago? I don't know which part he's referring to, but
actually, no, Digger Dog. I think he's asking about what I had just discussed. But no, that's not why I shut the program down. I shut the program down basically because I got burned out. I got burned out, but that I can't fully say that it's part of the reason, but mostly it was because I was burnt out and I needed to focus a little bit more on my family and get things back together. Because we obviously, and this is another word of advice. I know this ain't what the show's about, but I'll tell you that I've also seen firsthand this happen too. Believe it or not, Bigfoot research can break a family apart. I mean, plain and simple. I've seen it happen. I've got friends that it's happened to. It's hard to find the balance, especially in something that you enjoy, because we all enjoy going out in the woods and researching this and spending time with our friends in the field and that kind of thing. But you also have to remember, if you've got a wife and kids at home, you have to spend time with them too. So it's hard to find that balance. You got to find that balance, or else you're going to be going through divorce proceedings.
Well, Billy, I think it's pretty well documented that the divorce rate among Bigfoot researchers is fairly high.
Right.
I mean, I'm just thinking through all all the researchers that we know, and we know quite a few who were divorced and had been divorced, because of their participation in the field.
Right.
It's really hard. Dave and Carrie are great because they do the research together as a couple, and so
right.
When Dave wants to go in the woods, Carrie's she's right there with them. You know,
Yep.
Let me tell you, you know, they love that stuff, and so, you know, when you have a marriage where both people are interested in the same thing, I think it works for them. But there are other people who, you know, the spouse, you know, and it's man or woman. But, you know, I know several groups of people where the spouse just isn't into it really. I know one situation where it's a woman who's really into bigfooting, but her husband's not, and vice versa.
Right.
That's really tough. That's really tough because you're talking about now, you know, a lot of times you're talking about vacation time to set aside for the expeditions, and you got to make a choice. Do I want to go away on an expedition with my limited vacation time and not spend it with my spouse or my family? And I'm sure that that's the position you were in.
That is the position I was in. You know, the whole deal was here I was going to 3 to 4 Bigfoot conferences a year and never taking the family on a family vacation. And yes, that was my fault. You know, that was something that I should have realized and really didn't. So obviously, you know, that has all changed now. We take our family vacations. And then, of course, we have now gotten to the point where we limit our conferences, you know, because they're, like I say, for a while I was doing several of them a year. And now we've decided that no matter what, we will only do 3 of those. And then this year we're going to try to do 2 family vacations. So you got to find the balance because, you know, if the spouse doesn't enjoy what you're doing, you know, Janine does like to go with me on the conferences, mainly because she's made a lot of friends. For example, she loves Allison. And Janine hasn't got a problem going out to Allison's land and just sitting around the campfire. That's what she enjoys. She enjoys being around friends that she has made. Bigfoot, she could care less.
Yeah.
She probably wouldn't care if he came up and stuck a marshmallow on a stick and started cooking it on the campfire.
Well, maybe Janine can use the flashcards on Allison so she can identify, like, here's what a hole in the ground looks like. Either step over or walk around it.
Oh, man. All right, well, we're getting ready to run out of time. Yeah, it did tonight.
Well, Billy, you know, we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. So
yeah, we did.
But I think
we had a bunch of great callers. We had a bunch of great callers, too. We appreciate every one of them calling in and giving their opinion. So.
You there, Billy?
Yep, I'm here. The woman's telling us that we need to hurry up.
Okay. So the bottom line is we really appreciate the people who listen to our show, and we do take your comments seriously. So keep them coming. You know, we enjoy doing the show as much as hopefully you like listening to the show.
Yep, and please feel free to go to SasquatchWatchRadio.com, folks. Go to the new website, drop us a comment, vote on the poll, and that helps us out. And I think that's about it tonight, Bruce.
That's about it, Billy.
So we will see everyone next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll have us a new face of Bigfoot research. So we'll be announcing that this weekend. So everybody have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Remember to join us again next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate every one of our listeners. Thank you so much for being here.